Oh my goodness, Joe, this layout.
Okay, wow, like a gun. It's exactly like a gun, bro.
Like a
Hello,
gun, sia.
bang. This is almost the person who buy. I'm so sorry, really bang.
Hi everyone.
Hello. Okay, so what we're going to talk about. First of all, right, we're going to of course talk about condo, but I have a little bit of difficulty with the name, honestly.
When this project name appeared to me, right, this was the first thing that came to my mind. I wanted to bring this in, but because down here, no food. So,
Yes,
I didn't bring it. But
yes.
honestly, Oreo was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yes,
Right?
and I thought of it as a dog's name. And
Oh my goodness.
the second impression that I have is Orion. You know Orion?
Okay.
Star
Wow, so zen,
constellation. Yes.
But it's actually taken from Japanese words, inspired by a mixture of Orie and Ie. Orie means fold or origami, as we all know, right? And then we have Ie, which is, it means home. And you put together, it's like,
Oh yeah.
Orie. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But we all Singaporean so we'll just say Orie. Uncle, 可以载我去 Orie 吗？
Oling
Oh my goodness.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay. Who are the developers for this project?
Okay, so we have, of course, City Development, CDL, we have Fraser and CQC House. And I guess because it's, one of the partners is actually CQC House, it probably explains how you get this.
Yeah, so CQC House is one of the largest developers in Japan. In Singapore, they have done projects like Seaside Residences, also alongside Fraser, and then also One Holland Village, and that was done together with Far East.
That's right. Okay, so let's take a look at the project overview. We all know where is this place. It's within minutes walks to Braddell MRT, considered to be in the City Fringe area, District 12. It's going to be made up of 2 towers, all the way up to 40 levels. Another thing very significant that I feel about this project is that the total number of units over here is 777. Not 999, 777. Okay, so how was this land actually derived? Tell us a little bit more.
Okay, so back then when this land was actually out for bid, right, another plot of land was out for bid at around the same time, and that is somewhere in Clementi. So for this land bid, right, surprisingly, there were only 3 bidders. And as you can see, of course, CDL won the bid at almost $1 billion. Huge amount. And I guess that explains why we only have 3 bidders down here. And the other one, of course, over at Clementi, we are looking at around, was it 600 million?
Yeah, 600 over million.
So that, you see the difference?
I must say that this piece of land is pretty expensive. If you were to take a look at the bid price submitted by CDL versus the next competitor, Capital Land, we're talking about almost 10% difference. Good for them that they got this piece of land. So looking at it, the break even, right? There's some other YouTuber that call it, if you add in your land cost, you add in your fili fella and everything, right? Okay.
Oh, that one, my good friend, my good friend.
Okay. He might watch. So the break even is actually 2003. We expect that probably the price will have to start from about 2008 in order to make some sense. Actually, interestingly, we just took a look at the land bid for this current, I can't pronounce, Orie or whatever. Yeah, this project.
Actually, we hope we are right. We may be wrong also.
Yeah,
we hope we are right.
yes.
So if you are a Japanese friend, please share with us, leave the comments below, what's the correct pronunciation of
Yes.
Orie.
So this piece, if you were to see, right, versus 8 years ago when we have another project called Gem Residence, it's pretty scary. You look at the break-even of these 2 pieces, right? The current piece is almost doubled the last break-even. Yeah, so really, truly, the best time to buy property is yesterday.
Yesterday. The best time was yesterday.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of the people who are watching over here, you would have probably heard about Chuan Park, what happened. You probably would have heard about Emerald of Katong, what happened. But as the practitioner on the ground, right, if we were to see a price as it's going to be starting from 1.5x, do you think that the developer will start from 1.51?
No. We can look at some precedents of what happened over at Chuan Park and then as well as EOK. And based on how hot the market is, the developers may push up the difference, and widen the margin gap. Let's take a quick look at Chuan Park. The break-even was around 2,200, right? At the end of the day, when it was finally launched, what was the average?
About 2.6.
About 2.6. So that was a $400 PSF difference. That's about 20%.
Yep, that's
so
right.
on average, that's what we use as a gauge for the developer's profit margin as well.
Yes, and this is actually pretty accurate. If you were to take a look at Emerald of Katong, the statistics that we have here is 1911 is the break even, but you have to factor in it is a piece that is under the harmonization, just like this current Toa Payoh property. You add in a 7% and then a 20% markup. The developer would probably have to at least do 2004 for Emerald of Katong. But as you can see from the news, they actually hit 99% sale and they were selling as much as 2006. Meaning to say, honestly, I think their margin is almost 30%. So if Toa Payoh is going to be doing 30% margin, I'm not surprised that we will see prices as high as 3,000 per square feet. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're going to break down further for your guys, the 1 bed all the way to 5 bed, what's our expected price range that this is going to be launching. Yeah, we will move on to that later. Take a look at this site plan, and what do you observe from this site plan?
Wow, this site plan looks quite familiar.
Oh,
First of all, we have 2 blocks, 2 swimming pools. Very familiar.
yes.
Very familiar.
Let me show you. Okay, so if you were to take a look at this other site plan, this is same thing by CDL as well. If you're very curious, where is it? I can share with you offline. Scan the number here, and it could
Don't be
be
so
a
mysterious lah.
yeah, so that you will not miss it, okay? But it's quite interesting to note whether you talk about is it in the OCR or in this case is the RCR or even CCR, right? If it is a CDL project, is you keep seeing the footprint, right, of CDL, this footprint of site plan
It's pretty recognizable.
Yes,
It's pretty
yes, yes.
recognizable.
That's right.
Right. Most important, what we can see here that it is primarily north-south facing. Right. So for most local homeowners in Singapore, we love north-south facing. You get more through wind. Best thing, of course, is that you don't get direct sun.
And also, actually, I think they have done it in such a way it really maximizes the view. If it's facing towards the south, you almost have a good view of MBS on good days. And if you're looking towards the north, some of them says that you can see as far as JP. I'm not so sure about that. But if you're on high floor, because the nearby HDB blocks, they are barely 12 levels, and you're so high up, you really got quite a good view. When the drone is ready, drone view is ready, we'll be more than happy to share with you. Okay, so let's take a look at the unit mix. 10% are made out of 1+ study over here. 2 bed is we're talking about almost 40%. Wow, that's quite a big percentage, right?
It's
Yes.
quite a huge percentage. So if you include the smaller 3 bedrooms, it adds up to about 60% of small units. So that is going to be very attractive for investors, I'm guessing.
You're just almost very next to the MRT, and this is a straight line, 3-4 stops down to Orchard. It's going to be easy to rent out.
And when we talk about larger 3 bedrooms or very desirable size of 3 bedrooms, we only have 10%, 78 units.
I feel those parents who are trying to bring your kids to the nearby primary school, of course, Peichin is one of the highly targeted ones. I feel sad for you. 10%.
Yeah, it's going to be very competitive for families with growing kids because of the surrounding mature estate. We see a lot of upgraders, people getting married, moving out from their parents, and then hey, there's a condo in just right near my parents, and then now we only have 10% good size 3 bedders. So if you are considering something in the size of 1,000 square feet plus minus, you might want to consider speaking with us. We have, of course, more proposals and more suggestions of projects that you can even consider. And then looking at the larger units, we have, of course, 4 bedders and 5 bedders with private lift as well. And that comes up to about 30% of the entire project.
Okay, so I think we don't have to say too much about the location. You are really almost doorstep to Braddell MRT. Just probably we're talking about 2 blocks away. Not right at your doorstep, but guys, I think this is pretty reasonable, quite a good location already. And then we have the schools over here within 1 kilometer. Peichin Primary, one of the top primary school. Kengching Primary is my 母校.
Really?
Yes.
So
no
you
joke.
are Toa Payoh kid.
I don't really remember days of really staying here. I do not know why, but yeah. So I did
Okay.
spend a good childhood days here, and actually one very interesting thing is the whole Raffles Village is here. In fact, I shared with some of my clients, and recently yesterday they just collected their PSLE result. They're a bit excited because they're planning like, whoa, okay, and if the child get into Raffles Girls, it's almost a stone walk. They just walk to school will do, and that's really awesome.
I didn't know stone can walk. Okay, so moving on to the floor plans. Let's start with the one bedder, shall we?
Okay, sure. So over here, there is no one bed in the whole project. There's only one plus study. This one plus study, quite a typical layout. You walk in, you have your kitchen by your side. You have a study, which probably would be your Zoom area. It could serve also as a storeroom. And then your master bath actually open up both to your master bedroom. And also if you do have guests, then yes, they do have to share your master bath. Yeah, I know.
Dual entry.
Yes, you might, then maybe it's okay. Just don't invite people to your house. All
Or
right?
you can be very crude lah. You just tell your friend, sorry, my toilet cannot use. Go downstairs, use facility.
Okay, so now we just thought that we want to bring you more value on the table. We're going to explore the two newest property in Toa Payoh, which is namely Gem Residence and also a resale condo in this area called Travista. These are the only two I would call the newer properties already. In fact, in our discussion, Kelvin was like saying, Travista is very old, you know. Yeah, and when is the TOP date actually for Travista?
2011.
Yeah, so that is how rare developments are in Toa Payoh. Okay, so when we come to Gem Residence, right, there is no one plus study. They only have one bed. What do you think of the layout at Gem Residence?
Actually, I think this layout is because you don't have to share the toilet, right, with your guests. It's not so.
Oh, they literally close it.
They
so,
literally close it. It's like, okay, the toilet is strictly for owners only.
yeah, if not, you have to go into my bedroom to use my toilet.
Yeah.
I can't really accept that very well.
Yeah, so it's a very private space, I feel. It's not really for inviting friends over. But I mean, a good use of space nonetheless. Yeah.
So if we were to just take a quick look at the other layout at Gem Residence, one interesting thing I quite like a little bit more about this kitchen layout is a L-shaped layout. It is not like a typical kitchen just by along the corridor. Yeah, so this could be something that this project has an upper hand if you don't mind one bed, but there is no one plus study at Gem Residence at all. What are some of the transacted prices over the last 2 years for one bed? They are hovering in a range of 900 over 1,000, okay, at near 2,000 PSF rate.
So now moving on to the other project, Travista, right? So let's use the one plus study as comparison. Well, it is much larger. If you look at the total floor plate, it's 689 square feet compared to in Orie, we are looking at about 517 square feet. Of course, don't forget this is with harmonization. But what I want to point out here is that for Travista, actually it sounds big, right? But look at the floor plan. There's a lot of planter area in this project, right near the balcony and all that. So on top of the planters, look at the bedrooms. There are also bay windows. Well, this is a bit subjective. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people feel that it's wasted space because you can't literally walk on it, right? You can only put things on it. So I'll leave that to you to comment. But I feel over at Orie, we have a much better utilization of space. And of course, because we are not calculating your aircon latch into what you're paying for as well.
That's right. Okay, and what's the prices looking like for the one bed in Travista, which is almost 12 years old today? It's hovering at probably a range of 1.2 per square feet, hovering at an average of 1,600, 1,700. And let's take a look now at the prices at one bed. If it's going to be 2,008 per square feet, one plus study, we expect Orie to be launching at 1.4 plus. And if it's going to cross 3,000 per square feet, which is likely going to happen, I guess. Well,
I think we have to be realistic.
paying
This is high chance that it may happen, right?
You're paying 1.55.
5.5 for one bedder.
In my personal opinion, we might have better options for you in even more prime area, maybe by the same developer as well, that I feel is a bit better value. Or in case you miss this project because the ballot number doesn't work so well for you, do contact us for a consultation.
Yeah. So let's move on to the 2-bed. And down here we have a 2-bed, 1-bath. Pretty good size. We're looking at 592 square feet. Right, so a very conducive space. It's dumbbell layout. So what that means is that we have less wasted corridor space. The moment you enter, one room on the left, one room on the right, and then you're living in a huge balcony right in the center.
Well, actually, I must comment about this layout over here. I am a bit impressed that this tucked-in kitchen has a window for a 2-bed, 1-bath.
Oh yes, that's true.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
so
right.
of course that's not common these days when we compare to the recent other projects, right? EOK and Chuan. We don't often see this for 2-beders.
And if you really hate the idea of just having 1 bath, they do have the 2-bed, 2-bath layout over here as well. And then let's move on to the 2-bed plus study. If you have the budget for it, I think it's really a fantastic layout. You have a proper tuck-in kitchen, it's dumbbell, there's no wastage of space. This layout is really, really efficient. Yes. So just to again bring you more value on the table, we took a look at 2-bed, 1-bath layout in Gem Residence. What do you think?
Personally, I'm not a fan of layouts where kitchen is right at your doorstep, right? It's like you open your door, should you put your shoe, and then the next thing you see your food down there. A little bit of a subjective matter down here. So, not a fan of this kind of layout.
Yes, and I think for the 2-bed, Orie really win hands down compared to Gem Residence. They have a tuck-in kitchen for all type, whether is it 1 bath, 2 bath, all the way to 2 bath, 1 plus study. You have a proper tuck-in kitchen.
I would say it's more conducive for food preparation. You know, it's mostly in a galley style, meaning you have tabletops on both sides. So you can easily turn on one side to get your stuff from the fridge and then turn the other around, the other way just to cook.
I can see
So
you
I
really
think-
go to the kitchen.
I don't lah, but
Okay, all
I
right.
do observe lah.
Let's take a look at the price at Gem Residence.
Okay. So at Gem Residence, we are seeing transactions nearing 2,000 per square feet, right? For 2-beders. So that's around 1.1, 1.2 in the range.
Okay, so let's take a look at Travista, which is likely the project that has a bigger floor plate. In Travista, there's no such thing as 2-bed, 1 bath. Long ago, when you have the luxury of space, they don't give you 1 bath. But I'm not so sure if the space is really, really well utilized, because once again, we have loads of bay window, loads of planter.
Yes.
But I must say that it is nice to still have a bomb shelter. But if you take a look at the quantum, wow, interesting. The 2-bed, right, you can see that there was actually one transaction that has hit as high as 1.87. For a 10-over-year-old property, 99 here in Toa Payoh, someone has paid close to 2 million for Travista.
So now let's take a quick look at what we estimate the 2-beders at Orie to be. We first look at the 2-bed, 1 bath. Okay, if the PSF is going to be around 2008, we're looking at about 1.65 million. And if it goes up to 3,000 PSF, the 2-bed, 1 bath can go as high as 1.78 mil. All right, and looking at the 2-bed, 2 bath, around 646 square feet, if it's 3,000 PSF, which is more likely what we're expecting it to be, 2-bed, 2 bath will be about 1.938. And if we compare that to Travista, which we were looking at just now, wow, look at that. Travista below 1.9, around the same price, we can be getting something at 1,012 square feet, man. But just take a quick look at the layout now of this 1,012 square feet. Oh my goodness, Joe, this layout.
Okay, wow, like a gun. It's exactly like a gun, bro.
Like a
Hello,
gun, sia.
bang. Can you see? It's almost. They're trying to do like a landscape hall, I think, but
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. It really
a
looked
bit
like a gun.
unconventional.
It really looked like a gun to me, exactly. But you once again have all your planter, all your balcony, all your aircon ledge, all your bay window. Okay, but for whoever that is maybe
But to be honest, Joe, with this kind of pricing, right, why wouldn't someone just pay a bit less and get a a resale that is so much larger technically.
We feel you. To whoever that could be watching this and maybe considering a new project, you will probably have such questions in your mind. So let's take a look, right, at how has a resale property, right, in Trevista fare so far. So if you were to take a look, so of course, being the first owner, if you enter, oh my goodness, they went in way below 1,000 per square feet. And whoever is the first owner, you will see a sharp spike. And you see that actually all the way from 2012, right, for almost a good 8 years until COVID saved the day, right? If you have bought a property around 2012 to 2013, it's just the same price throughout, which is equal to, you need to factor in, you're actually servicing your loan interest every month, you are servicing your CPF accrued interest as well. Effectively, if the property didn't grow, you are actually losing money.
Yeah, that's a good 8 years, man. That's 8 to 9 years, and nothing happens. The economy changes, but your house stays stagnant.
Yeah, and if you were to really take a closer look also, actually a good 3% of these 500 over owners did make a loss. Some of them make a loss as much as 170,000 for just a 2-bed. So I think we need to make a wise choice. We need to try to enter properties whereby we are at a more favorable position. When you want to exit, right, you don't have 95% of the owner buying much cheaper than you, and you are left with less bargaining chip when you want to exit. So just a point to take note if you are an investor today. Moving on, let's go to the 3-bed layout in Orie. Only 10% of you will be lucky enough to own this layout.
Nice layout, I think. You have a very private entrance, and the first thing you see is your kitchen that is nicely tucked away. Of course, down here you have a kitchen with window as well, right, for better ventilation and if you do heavy cooking.
Okay, moving on, let's take a look at the competitors over here. If you take a look at Gem Residence, this is one of the biggest 3-bed layout at Gem Residence already. The good thing is over at Gem Residence, if I were to factor in all the different kind of layout of 3-bed over there, they definitely have a higher percentage of 3-bed, which I'm really very sad about. In Orie, you only have 10% which are proper 3-bed. But even if you take a look at this bigger 3-bed, right, a bit sad at Gem Residence, you do not have a bomb shelter at all. You effectively, you don't really have a proper yard for this whole area. Yeah, Orie win.
I think
this
that's quite unfortunate for a 3-bedder to not have a yard and a separate WC, because I would expect a lot of families and households to have helpers at this size.
Correct.
Yeah, so I think yes, Orie wins for
hands down, right?
hands
and
down.
So over here, I think it's not difficult to understand why is it that even if we look at one of the highest transacted in Gem Residence is probably at most 2.2, because first of all, the size is pretty small and not really the best layout in my opinion for a 3-bed. Okay, and moving on to Trevista, our king of bay window planter once again. Yeah, but I think what is good about Trevista as a development is that 50%, right, of the unit mix, they are actually 3-bed. So if you are maybe eyeing a 3-bed at Trevista, probably you have a bit more options if there are owners selling. Let's take a look at the prices once again. At 3-bed Trevista, highest transacted near 2.4 already, and PSF is hovering at about 2,000 PSF. And what is the expected 3-bed Orie price is going to be?
Alright, so if we look at the 1023 square feet units, if the PSF is about 2,800, we're looking at about 2.86 million. And if we look at 3,000 PSF, which is more likely of what we expect, it's going to be above 3 million for the 3-bedders. Well, we leave it up to you to think whether this is costly or is it affordable. But do remember, we are in an area that supply is very, very limited. And the last time we had a supply of 3-bedders was about 8 years ago.
人生有几个十年, right?
人生有几个十年. But do remember also, I think we need to have the mindset that today's expensive will eventually be tomorrow's cheap. So I leave it up to you to feel whether this is a good pricing. Now let's move on to the 4-bedders. Well, this is a very interesting layout. You enter, you have a very long living and dining hall. Some people like that. Personally, I prefer a landscape layout, But this is still a very good, efficient use of space in that everything is very squarish. We don't have any odd corners. And there's no like wasted planter, right? Unlike our neighbor, the king of planters.
Yeah. Now, let's take a look at the King of Planter. This layout at 4-bed Trevista. Size is pretty good on surface, 1561 square feet. King of Planter, once again, it has to have planter. There's lots of balcony, and then all the bay window, you have lots of space to just stretch out your leg and then, do your reading there. Okay, there's still some use for it. If you like bay window, it can still be useful actually. Just that maybe it's a bit old in my opinion. All right.
Yeah, quick look at the pricing is about transacting above 3 million, some even at 3.22 million already.
Yep. Okay, and let's take a look at Gem Residence. Gem's Residence 4-bed is at a size of 1249. A bit tight, especially it was in an era whereby aircon ledge is counted inside. You can see the whole aircon ledge. I think it's almost a good 8 square meter.
Yes.
Over here. So good thing is it still has a so-called landscape hall, and they didn't do a very big balcony, which may be a pro for some people. But I have seen the 4-bed. My personal opinion is I feel that the width is still a bit short. Like if you're gonna put a L-shaped sofa, it feels very, very tight. But once again, we leave the judgment to you. If you do like to explore some of the resale 4-bed, that's something that we can help as well. Currently for the 4-bed, it is trending at close to 2,000 per square feet. One of the highest quantum that has transacted over there is 2.6 mil for a mid-floor unit.
And in comparison, if we look at the pricing that we estimate the 4-bedders to be for Orie, we take the 1216 square feet unit, for example. If we are at 3,000 PSF, it's going to be above 3.6 mil.
All right, one last layout that we're going to touch on. If you feel like being a king here, why do I call this the king of all layout in this Orie? Because this is the only layout that gives you a private lift lobby. In fact, I think the whole Toa Payoh, right, you are probably the only 5-bed layout that comes with a private lift lobby. There is no other layout with private lift lobby over here. And
very atas feel, huh?
Yes, very, very
we're
atas
targeting
feel.
a very, very exclusive group of buyers over here.
Yes, correct. So what do you think is the likely pricing? Let's talk about the pricing
Okay,
first.
Quick look at the pricing. If 3,000 PSF, pricing is going to be around 4.35 mil.
You can actually get a landed. So what will you go for?
Personal preference, I prefer a landed in the sky.
Okay, all right. Okay, so that will be starting price 4.3. You do have options to look at landed as well, but honestly, 4 over mil landed is almost extinct today. You probably have to throw in easily 500,000 for renovation. Okay, and your other competitors, we do have 5-bed at Gem's Residence. It's a little small actually for 5-bed. It's only 1313. Factoring once again, take a look at the whole aircon ledge. Oh my goodness. And actually, I don't really call this a real 5-bed. Why do I say so? Because if you notice carefully, 2 of the common bed can only put a single bed. How sad can it be?
That's true.
So I don't really call this a real 5-bed. To be very strict, there is actually no 5-bed in Trevista at all. The biggest floor plate that they have is only 4 plus study.
And just a quick comparison, right? The 5-bed at Orie, I think another plus point that I see here is that there's a junior master. So in total, you are getting actually 4 bathrooms. So it's technically a 5-bed 4 bath. So in comparison, the 5-bed at Gem, we personally feel it kind of pales in comparison.
Not so Gem after all.
Not so Gem.
Okay, but just to let you have a guide of the prices, the highest that was ever transacted for 5-bed Gem Residence is 2.65. All right. So yes, I would think that you may feel that the 5-bed in Orie seems a bit pricier, but I think there's really a lot of value to it, especially if like you are going to spend a good 10 years over here because you want your kids to go into Beijing Primary and maybe to progress on to the whole Raffles Village with your parents who will need their help to take care of your kids. I think this is a possible layout, especially for multi-gen, and you are somebody that are scared of all the cockroach and all the mice. If you stay in a landed, it could be something that you can explore. So now,
Exactly.
in conclusion, we're going to just summarize for you what do we think. What do we think about this property, Orie, and what is the exit plan? So we all know that one of the biggest group of possible buyers will likely be the existing HDB dwellers in this area. So out of curiosity, right, I just wanted to take a look at how much HDB over here in Toa Payoh are actually transacting for. The top one that was being listed is actually at Block 138, Lorong 1A, Toa Payoh. So it's actually at 1.88 million. And even if you were to scroll down, the next one is easily a good number of them are all asking about 1.6
These
plus.
are all potential headline news articles.
Yes, easily. And I'm still on first page, as you can see, scrolling. They are all asking way above 1 million. And I think these people are able to easily afford even to enter the 4-bid over here. And this will likely be your potential future buyers.
So in conclusion, Joe, what is one thing that you find is really attractive about Orie?
I love Toa Payoh. My primary school is here. No lah. I would say the key thing about this town, right, is really the school. I serve so many buyers who are looking to enter Pei Chin Primary for the sake of the kids. And now with the whole Raffles Village moving here, there are so many aspiring parents that hope that, you know, they can spend a good 10 years in this town. And they're happy to probably retire here as well. I mean, it's so convenient. You have your cheap coffee shop food downstairs. If you want your expensive food, you can go over to the hub. It's really a place that you can stay for long, even for people that are considering for own stay.
Agree. And I think for me, what makes this very attractive is really the lack of supply in this area, right? In this neighbourhood, there are only 5 projects, including Orie. So out of these 5, the last 2 are just so old that we are not even bringing it up for comparison. And if you compare to a place like D15 where EOK recently was selling, oh man, I can't even finish the number of condos using I think our fingers and toes add together also not enough. So in comparison, this neighborhood is really, really limited in supply. That makes it very safe, for buyers, be it investor. I won't be worried that there won't be tenants. If I am going to sell in the future, I won't be worried that there won't be buyers, because especially if I'm going to buy into a 3-bid, supply is so limited,
You're
just
the
10% of the entire
77.
project.
Yeah,
It's
correct.
Lucky 78 units, yeah.
All right, so let us invite you to take a look at this project for yourself and make a judgment if it is worth taking a look. We are open for preview from 4th January onwards. Do scan this over here and contact us for a viewing, and we'll be happy to share more details with you, exactly downright to which stacks are really more worth investing in.
And if you enjoy this content, remember to like and subscribe. See you.
Thank you.